This time on Engine Masters, we're making 1,500 horsepower with a big boost and a stock short block. This is Engine Masters presented by AMSOIL, where this time, this whole shebang was not my idea. We've got special guest here, Richard Holdner, who's like the king of the Big Bang, making huge power on stock LS short blocks, and that dates back to, I think, 2011, right?
Yeah, it goes all the way back to 2011, that first story for Hot Rod Magazine, that little 4.8 that we thought was a 5.3, turned the boost all the way up on the stock short block.
And it made what?
Made 1,208 horsepower, which was pretty impressive back then. And actually, we never broke it. It came off the dyno and was still running.
But ever since then, you've been like the king of go to get a Junkyard motor, put a top end on it, and boost it till it blows,
well,
right?
As soon as we do something cool for Hot Rod, then everybody wants to jump in, right? So the truck and magazine guys called and say, can you do the same thing with a 5.3? So we put a 5.3 on, turned that thing all the way up, 1,300 horsepower, which is a big number, but we saved the best for last.
Okay.
Turned back to Hot Rod and said, hey, we want to do it with a 6-liter. So this time we're gonna run 6-liter, same thing, stock short block, heads, cam, and intake, 1,482 horsepower, 28.5
That's
pounds.
with a 6-liter, not a 6.2?
That's a 6-liter.
Okay, and what we're trying to do on this episode is actually beat that record, because you're claiming that's the record for the world's most powerful stock short block, right?
Well, I haven't seen anything, either LS or any of the other engine families, that have made that kind of power on a stock short block. And as you know, all of those were Gen 3 motors. This one is a Gen 4, it's supposed to have stronger rods and a better block, so since we always break the rods on these Big Bang motors,
hopefully this one doesn't.
This thing goes a little bit farther.
So tell me the story. This thing is a stock 6.2 Gen 4 short block. Crank, rods, pistons, everything, right?
Stock 6-liter.
6-liter.
4, yeah, short block, stock crank rods, pistons, but then we added heads, cam, and intake, like all the Big Bang motors.
Okay, so tell me about that power combination. What do you got?
Okay, we've got Trick Flow 225 cathedral port heads, CNC ported Gen X heads, they're awesome. We've got a Stage 3 twin turbo cam for Brian Tooley Racing, designed by the guys at LJMS, because if you have 2 turbos, you have to have a twin turbo cam, right?
Right.
Topping it all off, we've got the Sniper race manifold, which the standard manifold is a little bit too thin, so it moves around too much.
Yeah.
This race version, thicker, bolt-on flange.
And looks nicer than their old deal.
It looks awesome, looks like a real deal. It kind of looks like a Hogan sheet metal manifold, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And we're gonna find out how much boost it'll take.
How about Turbskis?
2 Borg-Warner S475s, each good for 1,000 horsepower. So in terms of turbos, we got it covered.
Okay, so Little John Performance hooked you up with that stuff, right?
Yeah, the guys John over there is great.
Or Little John Motorsports,
Little
rather.
John Motorsports.
Okay, perfect. So basically, you're now turning me, Brule, and Dulcich loose on this thing, right?
Exactly. We've put a tune in it. We've got a good air-to-water intercooler. We're running good gas in, as we always do. You guys can put it on the dyno, start making wax, and start turning the boost up.
And the thing is, we're gonna be careful with it. It's not like I'm gonna walk in there and dial 27 degrees of timing in this thing. We're gonna actually try and make it live. We're gonna try and make 1,500 horsepower, at least 1,483.
That's all we need.
But then we have your official permission to keep going until parts hit the floor,
yes,
right?
I want to see what the limit is. So if that's 1,483, or it's 1,583, or 1,683, whatever that number is, I want to see it.
Okay, this is gonna be really good. We're gonna go hook it up on the dyno, which takes forever because there's a lot of like science projects going on here, and then we'll AMSOIL the thing up and fire it up and start at like 1,000 horsepower and move from there.
That's a good place to start.
Okay, we'll see you there. Whenever we do one of these deals where we're actually trying to blow up an engine, AMSOIL is always like, make sure they know it's not the oil. And it won't be. Typically, it's a connecting rod that breaks on these. And AMSOIL normally tells me to run the Dominator, sometimes in like a 60 weight, that Dominator racing oil. But Richard didn't want to go there. He had some oil pressure issues with this thing and was playing around with it in pre-testing and went with the 2050. So I'm pouring in the AMSOIL Z-Rod 2050 because it is the 2050 oil that I had in stock. Well, you guys know the deal, right? It's not our engine, so go hog wild.
I feel like you guys decided to go run over somebody's dog and designated me the driver.
Oh no, for some reason when we put nitrous on the 305, I felt like I was shooting a puppy. This, I don't care. So really? It's a complete Junkyard short block, stock crank, rods, pistons, even the rings are stock. but he did go take it apart and open them up to 30 thousandths ring end gap.
Right. Okay.
And I think we're doing some other stuff here to actually not intentionally blow the thing up until it makes the number, which is like 1,500
I think
horsepower.
whatever that number is, we're trying to keep it alive.
We are.
We're gonna go as far as
we're gonna
possible.
kill it.
At some point, but
but-
we don't want it to be because of the tuna.
Right. We need it to live to 1,500, and so we're doing things like we've got it on Rocket Brand 118 race gas. In the tune-up, he's got timing pulled out of it around peak torque, because that's where the highest cylinder pressure is. That's where the greatest risk of detonation or a head gasket or something like that is.
It probably doesn't even need that right there, but when we were doing some work this morning, just kind of decided that, you know,
It can't
that
hurt.
was less important than the peak
Than the
number.
peak number, which
so
is
if
what
we
we're
get
shooting
through
for.
there, and hopefully we can make that peak number.
The objective is to get it as far as humanly possible before it just can't take any more.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And at that point, I'm not sure what's going to happen.
And so, I'm bringing it back, boys.
Wow.
This is gonna be the highest peak horsepower number on a pass where it survives. So
Okay.
not
Okay.
like a peak number right before parts fall out, but a pass where it survives.
Hey, Freiberger, can you peel off another 20 for me? And
No.
I'll take it off your tab.
So, here. I'm giving you guys. Are we doing prices right, or are we doing just plain closest?
Closest.
Closest, even if it's over.
Yeah, you know,
okay.
if it goes over, everybody wins on that one. So.
Yeah. Dulcich?
You bumped
Well,
the
I don't
bet.
have anything smaller than 100. This is not the $5 table.
No, and I don't know that we're sitting here thinking we're all high rollers or something. What are you pressing things like that for?
He did it, not me.
No, he's the one that peeled off to 20
Yeah,
to
but
kick
you
this
bumped
off.
the bet. Can't you just ante in?
I didn't bump the bet.
Yes, you did.
I did. What do
You said all you
You
had
said you
was
only have
100.
100.
I'm not playing for 100 here. Are you? What? That's all I have.
Did you write down your number?
I don't have a pen. Can I borrow a pen?
No. You don't bring the cash, you don't get a pen. Pens are for closers.
Put that pen down.
All right, baseline pass. We're gonna fire it up, hopefully make about 1,100 horsepower, and then we'll be inching it up, probably 2 PSI at a time, making more and more boost for more and more power. And I'd like to actually learn something here. So I would like to keep track of like boost back pressure in the exhaust on the turbo.
Back pressure in the exhaust. We've obviously got boost pressure, air fuel ratio. I mean, we've got probably a bit more data than normal. So
this is for educational purposes. Boom, 1,150 horsepower right off the bat.
That looked pretty effortless.
I know. Turbos are good. So that was 1,150.1 horsepower and 908.6 pound-feet of torque. What was the maximum boost on that run? 16 pounds of boost at peak right there, right at the very, very top. The thing is still climbing in power at 7,000 RPM. We're just sort of shutting it off that point because RPM is a danger. If we get to the point where it's making like 1,475 horsepower, you can bet we'll run more RPM. But for now, 7,000.
16 pounds of boost is nothing. We got a long way to go.
Uh-huh. It'll be really interesting to watch how the boost affects the power. Like right now, we add 2 pounds, it might make 100 horsepower or 50.
Right.
Later on, you add 2 pounds, it might only make, 75 or 40. It'll come down a little bit as the efficiency drops.
They call that the law of diminishing returns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go let Richard look at his baby and see how many turns he wants us to put in it.
All right.
How much are you gonna go on this step?
I think we'll go up like 2 turns and kind of see where that is. That should give us another couple of pounds, and then, each is 30 or 35 horsepower pounds. So.
Tell everyone about, wastegates, blow-off valves.
All right, well, we've
your
got
boost
stainless
controllers.
headers feeding a pair of turbos, because if one turbo is good, obviously 2, twice as good. Each turbo is feeding a single intercooler, but it's a dual core, dual pass intercooler. We've got wastegates for each one of the turbos. Right now, they're running on the springs. It's all controlled, and all we got to do is adjust our little bleed valve. As we do that, more boost, more fun, more power.
Explain, though, how the organized leak is going to increase boost pressure.
Okay, well, the way the wastegate works is its supplied boost pressure. That opens the valve up, that allows exhaust to escape out, and that lowers the boost pressure. If we trick some of that flow by putting a metered leak in it, now it thinks, oh, I'm not getting as much boost, so therefore I have to stay closed longer, so then the boost goes up. So as we keep screwing that thing out, we get more and more leak, more and more boost.
Well, let's make the screw fall out. Also, we got an intercooler going on here with ice water flowing through it, and we're maintaining the ice at every pull. We're like dumping a new bag in, and you're gonna pull some of this water out so we can chill it down.
More ice, less water, more cool, more power. Should we adjust?
You can adjust.
All right.
Step 2, 2.5 more turns. That's it. Go. I don't know what to tell you.
Nothing else to have.
Nothing else.
It's like 1150, so easy. I think we'll go 1200.
1250. Yeah, exactly.
I didn't see the numbers. I was concentrating quite a bit on air fuel.
I was too. I was looking at
1200 and a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Step 2, 17.6 pounds of boost, 1,213 horsepower, 957 pound-feet of torque. Go give it 2.5 more turns. 1.5 pounds of boost on that last run, picked up 63 horsepower. Now we've added more ice, had our eye on the Holley HP EFI to make sure everything's copacetic. We've got a few more turns in this thing. This is step 3.
Did you see the torque?
No, I was watching the oil pressure because I knew Steve was watching
it blew
that.
past the 1,000 foot-pounds like nothing.
Easy. What's our peak boost? Now we are at 22 pounds of boost, 1,349.2 horsepower, 1,084 pound-feet of torque.
I guess that last turn and a half worked pretty good.
Yeah.
So we picked up 4.4 pounds of boost in order to pick up 136 horsepower. So
well, it's got some legs left.
It's still tracking pretty nice.
Unless it breaks.
Well, let's step it up.
All right,
There's nothing to think about. It's not like, oh, should we throw 3 jets in it? Do you want to retard the cam? Different carburetor? It's just
go turn the screw.
Ready?
I'll sit here while one of you guys handle it.
Okay, relax. I'll handle it. How do you like boost now, Dulcich?
I'm loving it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about you?
Can we stop and go put forged pistons and rods in it now?
No.
Why would you do that? Okay, this is going to be step 4, 1.5 more turns on the boost controller. Oh, lost the intake. Okay, well, let's go have a peek at that. Major failure. I think we can fix it.
All right, this is what happens when you really crank the boost up. Blew the inlet tube off. So we took and welded some seams on here, so it's gonna hold better. So we'll put it back in, get back to dynoing.
This is going to be test 4. So close. 1,432.5 horsepower, 1,196 pound-feet of torque.
That's disgusting.
Ridiculous. What was the peak boost?
26.6.
Wow. We need to literally pick up exactly 50 horsepower to break Richard's record.
We need to go up. Well, it's Richard's record anyway.
Well, it's Richard's motor, it's Richard's everything, but you know.
I'm thinking, what, about 2.5 pounds of boost would get us there?
Last time we picked up 135 horsepower with 4.4 pounds of boost.
I don't think it's quite as easy anymore.
Yeah, exactly. We're now hitting the point of diminishing returns, although they're not fully diminished by any means. But I'm kind of anxious now because we're on the brink.
I know.
It's on us to either succeed or fail. Now's when we're actually kind of getting cautious. We got 1.5 more turns. We only need 50 horsepower. And you're pulling timing at peak torque in order to try and kill that, you know, peak cylinder pressure and make the thing live.
You can't take too much away, but it's down there. It's down there like 15, 16 degrees through peak torque.
Yeah, and you can't make it 10, right?
No.
So, okay.
All right.
All it needs is 50. Deep into the 1500s. Sweet.
Yeah.
Nice.
That was nice.
We just made 1,500 horsepower on a stock Junkyard short block with the ring gaps opened up. Wow. So the final answer on run number 5, breaking the law, breaking the record, 29.2 PSI, 1,543.4 horsepower, and 1,255.6 pound-feet
Look how
of torque.
sweet that is.
And it's actually, looking
God,
like
it
it's
just
happy.
doesn't look like there's any distress.
It got better.
It's just like, okay. What, you want 16?
So 1543, which is enormous, and we planned on going further and actually blowing this thing up, or at least trying to make 1,600 plus, but we've hit a wall. Here's the problem. We're making 29.2 pounds of boost, which means we are out of map sensor. Map sensor, manifold absolute pressure. And what we've got it on is a 3-bar unit. And 1 bar is what you would consider to be 0 PSI. 2 bar is 14.7, and we are now at the limit of our 3-bar sensor, which is essentially 30 pounds. And so it needs that sensor in order to be able to modify both the fuel curve and the ignition timing in order to not blow itself up if we go to higher boost, and we don't want to blow it up that way. If we're going to blow it up, we wanted to do it with power, not with just a tuning mistake.
We're actually a half a pound past the end of the map sensor.
Yeah,
we are just at the top of
officially
it. Done.
Who could have seen that coming? 4-bar map sensor for a bone stock short block.
Well, the upshot is this thing's still gonna live.
Yeah, it's gonna live, and it made 1,543 horsepower, which these days you're like immune to stuff like that because so many people are making so much power, but that's ludicrous.
See, that's like a double win.
There is one downside.
What?
The envelope, please.
Oh, I know. I had said that our best pass before it blew up would be 1643.
1620.
1532. Finally, Brulé wins.
He wins it on a map sensor.
On a technicality.
A total technicality. Oh, man. I feel kind of shafted.
We need to have a rematch someday.
No, we absolutely do. I mean, it's really for me, it's a triple win.
Why?
New record.
Not cleaning up
Got
the
the
floor.
money. And not cleaning up the floor.
Right, exactly. Okay, well, we're done with you then.
All right.
Let's go find Richard and wrap this thing up. See what he thinks.
1543.
There's just so much. I have a lot of feelings about this, but first of all, thank you for letting us have this story.
Oh, anytime. Hey, a day on the dyno with turbos, that's awesome.
It is. It's pretty amazing. I guess I want to talk about, I don't know, how realistic you think this is and what you think the internet reaction is going to be.
Oh, we know both of those, right? I mean,
Yeah.
there's no way it's realistic to put it in a car like this because we're
wait a
trying
minute.
to.
I had this argument with you once, and you were like, "Oh no, guys are doing it everywhere." But
I would run
1,000?
this. Yeah, at 1,000 horsepower, I think guys go out and run it all the time at that kind of power level.
Yeah.
But when we're trying to get to the breaking point where we're talking about this may last for 1 run or 2 runs, it's just not realistic to go out and try to run it like that.
So, what point does it really prove? I guess is the question then.
Well, for me, what I wanted to do when this all started was I wanted to find out what is the breaking point of the motor, like how much is the maximum it can stand. And that's what we did with that first story way back when. So now we wanted to find out what that breaking point was with a Gen 4 version, which we didn't kind of find out. We got to a big number, but we didn't get to the breaking point.
Right.
So I just think we're setting a bar so everybody else can try to achieve that. Not that they're gonna go out and run it,
Yeah.
but hey, has anybody else made this kind of power with a stock bottom end?
I don't know, have they? Because that raises the internet question.
Have they? Has anybody done with a Mopar or a big block Chevy or anything?
I don't think so. But you are the king of destruction, and we failed to destroy this engine.
I know, everyone's disappointed that it's still all in one piece.
I am kind of, but that gives you another show later on, another story and another internet controversy where they tell you that it's already been done and you're a has-been and everybody else is better than you.
I think that's what's going to happen regardless of whatever the outcome is. No matter what we do, they're going to say, oh, guys have already done that, or you've already done that, this is a waste of time, because it's the internet.
Well, I thought it was pretty good.
I thought it was awesome. I mean, if you take a look at it, there's no way, like, a few years back, how often we would have sat in a room and think, man, it's only making 1,200.
Yeah, I know.
It's only making 1,300. We're so disappointed. And then when you get to a number like that, you're like, that's a huge number. But we're like, I think it's got more. I think it's got more.
So maybe we'll do it again if you want to repeat it with the big block Chevy.
I'd love to do that, because I'd like to do LS versus the world. We know what this guy can do, but now we want to find out, can anybody else do that? Like, can a 2JZ or a big block Chevy or a Hemi maybe? Can anybody else do that?
So if he actually gets around to that, you'll probably have to see it in a future episode of Engine Masters presented by AMSOIL. What do you think, Dulcich?
I'm wondering how many trout you can get in here.
You can take home a bunch of trout?
Yeah, or, you know, I was expecting to see a couple of bass in that thing.
And we can set our drinks in there later, margaritas, beer, you know, whatever you need.